ask or say. Top targets. Here we go. You can find this article over at Patreon. Not really an article, just a couple screen grabs showing these top free agents that are on the market at the cornerback position. And, it was titled How These 5 Free Agents Can Help Fix the Packers Secondary. We're going to go well beyond the list of 5, but we're going to show you the top 5 and work on down the line. So it may be a little hard for you guys to see. I will read it out loud. Again, you guys can see it over in our Patreon group, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. At the top of the list here, Tim, we're going to sort it, first of all, by previous average annual value. What that means, guys, forget the guaranteed money. It simply means you take the overall number of the contract previously and the number of years, divide that by the years, obviously, and that gives you what they averaged per year. Now, of course, it doesn't mean they got that much money while they were there. The signing bonus plays a big role into that and whatnot. But at the top of the list, Tim, is our very own Trevon Diggs that we just signed for one game and cut loose because we didn't want to hold on to that $15 million cap hit. Now, people were going, why did we let him go? Why did we let him go? Look at the number on the right, gang. The previous average annual value for Trevon Diggs, $19.4 million. Okay, we were only on the hook for $500K. Okay, and if we kept him next year, the cap hit was going to be $15 million. Well, the market value is currently at $7.5 million. I'm not saying Trevon Diggs is the best cornerback. We're going to talk about that when we sort by market value in just a second. Okay, but as it sits right now, he had the most money on his last contract, 19.4 average annual value. Number 2, Jamel Dean, cornerback out of Tampa Bay, $13 million was his previous average annual value. His market value is at $12.4. Jimmy Ward at free safety. He must have played some slot hybrid as well, but Jimmy Ward listed here, almost 35 years old, been in the league for 11 years, I believe, played for the Houston Texans. $10.5 million was previous average annual value. Notice his market value, Tim. They're not touching it. They don't know what the number will be, right? So you're going to get some of those here as well. Jonathan Jones, cornerback out of Washington, 32 years old, $5.5 million. So you see it dramatically drop off. It's either Amick or Amik Robertson from Detroit, $4.6 million was his previous. Eric Stokes, $3.5 million, Tim. That was his previous average annual value. I imagine that 1-year deal that he signed with the Raiders, he got the escalator bonus there, I would imagine. So he probably went from like a minimum or whatever up to the 3.5. Maybe they signed him for 3.5. I don't know. Sure. But Eric Stokes there on the list. I notice his market value, though, 7.3. And again, we'll sort it by that in a second. But Eric Stokes made himself some money this year, Tim. That's exciting for him, right?
I was going to say he played some pretty good ball too. If you go back and look at his 2025 season, played pretty good. We talked about Stokes with that long journey for the injury recovery, and him ended out in Vegas. You kind of didn't know what it was going to look like going into the year. But I think if you look back at 2025, he had a pretty good season on a pretty bad football team. So I would assume that's why his market value's kind of gone up a little bit. And then the age factor too, he's not that old yet. He'll be 27 this year. So there's still some gas left in the tank. So yeah, shout out Eric Stokes. I don't think he'll be back in Green Bay anytime soon, but big shout out to Eric Stokes Jr.
That's one of those tough things that I think that the Packers would be open to signing him back at the right price since he had a great year. But Eric Stokes is probably done with Green Bay, right? The fact that they kind of moved on. And listen, whether you want to say it's hard feelings or just the business side of things or whatnot, I think the majority of people would rather live in Vegas than Green Bay. Not me. I would much rather live in Green Bay, Wisconsin, title town, than Las Vegas. But these young players, 26 years old, multimillionaire, they're loving being out there at the Vegas Strip.
Look at that average annual value projection too, though. So if you look at Stokes and compare him to Trevon Diggs,
same number.
I think I'd rather re-sign Trevon, honestly, at this point.
That's a great point. Next on the list, I don't know how to say the name. Maybe y'all can help me. Is it Jaire Alexander? Is that right? Kahu? So, Cater.
I think you nailed the first name, though. That's got to be Cater, right?
All right, we'll just call him Cater. Cater, cornerback out of Miami, $3.2 million, 27 years old. Greg Newsome's one that's been mentioned with the Packers several times because they remember he was a high draft pick. He was very, very highly touted in the draft. He has not played great, guys. And this is a perfect example here that previous average annual value is only 3.1. However, when you compare the market value, it seems as if he had a decent year this year. So just like Eric Stokes made himself some money. I wouldn't be surprised too, Tim, you get players like that they have a great year in a contract year, then all of a sudden they taper back once you give them a deal. So you might be on the hook for some money and somebody underperforming in that regard. But then you got Tre'Davious White. I didn't know he was still in the league, to be honest with you. He used to be one of the better cornerbacks in the league. $3 million was his previous, 1.2 now. And yeah, that's pretty much all we've got there in terms. Now you're getting into the guys with no market value as it's showing right now, and they were previously making $2.5 million. So again, when you look at this list in terms of where they were, let's say 3 years ago, Trevon Diggs, Jamel Dean, Jimmy Ward, Jonathan Jones, and Amik Robertson are probably the most valuable of those players, right? So if you had to choose, and we're going to sort by market value next, but if you had to choose between those top 5 there, Tim, Trevon Diggs, Jamel Dean, Jimmy Ward, Jonathan Jones, or Amik Robertson, which one would you like to have in free agency?
That's tough. That's tough. I'm going to be honest. It's Trevon Diggs, or I might even roll the dice on Amik Robertson, honestly.
For me, it's hands down Trevon Diggs. It is.
Yep.
You've seen a guy who's a former All-Pro, right? You've seen a guy who led the league in interceptions. Now, I know I'm not sitting here trying to pretend like he's the perfect corner. I'm not trying to pretend like he's great. I think he's good. 7.5, you're not overpaying, right? 7.5 is paying market value for an above average to good corner, right? That's the way I see that. So that would be my pick as well, Tim. Let's go on to market value now. Actually, let me hit this chat real quick, and then we'll go on to market value. Let's see what the chat's saying. You got to be kidding me. Says $7.5 million for Diggs. I'm game for that. Again, if it was $10 million, we'd be like, yeah, right. And now again, the fans that were mad that they cut him loose at $15 million, we definitely wouldn't want him at $15 million, right? And that's what we were
part of the game, right?
Yeah.
Part of the business. I'd be willing to bet we brought him in knowing we were going to do that and try and restructure and get him back in the fold, right?
Right. And what you did, Tim, is you got him in-house with your coaches and see how he gelled with your players. And you really got an opportunity for like 2 or 3 weeks, however long it was, to kind of scout him out, get your hands on his knee, right? Get your doctors in there to take a look at him and make sure, okay, yeah, he's good, he's healthy, everything's good to go. It checks out with our training staff. Sometimes you don't get an opportunity to do that with these free agents,
Yep, so
every now and again, if they make it to the point where they're having to travel to places, now their market's flat. And in that case, if they're willing to, man, I really want to sign with this team, let me go meet with them first, that's when their doctors might be able to do an eval. So that's another plus, I think, with getting Trevon Diggs in there. So
I would agree. Shout out to our front office for getting ahead of the ball, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And you gave up nothing for him. You paid him $500K, right? I think it was actually a little less than $500K. So no draft picks. Chris N says, I really like Diggs for our defense. We need turnovers, and our elite safeties can have his back. And on top of that, Chris, he had his best year or two there with Micah Parsons rushing the quarterback, right? And again, a great edge rusher will get a cornerback paid. A great cornerback sometimes gets defensive linemen paid because they're getting more sacks because you're getting coverage sacks, right?
Pressure pick, coverage sack, baby.
Amen. All right, let's go to market value. So you notice shuffling it by market value, things really change up here, Tim. So again, I'm not going to dive into what everybody's market value, how it tallies up, but just understand Spot Track, which is the site we use here, their market value is typically attached with a multitude of things like 5 or 6 statistical categories compared across other people at their similar age. And that's how they come up with the market value. So keep in mind, these guys at the top, that means they had a good year. They probably had a lot of pass breakups, interceptions, passer rating when targeted, things like that. So it kind of removes a lot of the noise from it. You guys can go check it out yourself. Go to spottrack.com. It's an amazing site. I've got a subscription there. Love it. It's money well spent, I'm telling you. So at the top of the list, we got Nashawn Wright, cornerback out of Chicago. So Chicago losing one of their better cornerbacks this year. Again, a team that led the league in interceptions, the Chicago Bears. How cool would it be to go maybe poach one of their guys? The question is, are you willing to pay $16.6 million for a 27-year-old that I didn't know much about until this year? So that's something you got to take into consideration. He's at the top of the market. That would suggest he had the best year of all of these corners. Then you've got Jalen Watson, cornerback out of Kansas City at 12.4. Jamel Dean, cornerback out of Tampa Bay, 12.4. Alontae Taylor, cornerback out of New Orleans. He was there were some rumors around the Packers potentially trading for him. Okay.
Here's a guy
That's a guy that maybe the Packers are interested in free agency. The question is, would you be willing to pay him 11.1? If you're getting a starting caliber cornerback, meaning a top 32 corner, absolutely, I'd be willing to pay that. Josh Jobe or Joby, however you say it, from Seattle, they had a great defense this year, 9.7 million. Cordell Flott out of the New York Giants, 9.5 million. Monteric Brown, 9.2 million. He played for the Jaguars on that great defense there last year. Cam Taylor Britt from the Bengals, 9.1 million. Greg Newsome, 9 million. He played for Jacksonville as well, as we just talked about. Tariq Woolen out of Seattle, 8.1. And then our very own Trevon Diggs at 7.5, followed by Eric Stokes at 7.3. So when you take this into consideration, Tim, you're saying that if all these guys hit the market, and all of them won't, they're just projected to be unrestricted free agents as of February 1st. Deals haven't been struck yet. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The 11th best free agent corner. And he may end up being the best if the rest of these guys get signed. But right there, borderline top 10 corner in free agency at 7.3 million. I think that makes a lot of sense for Trevon Diggs. I just wouldn't expect Trevon Diggs to fix our cornerback problem all by himself. So if it does check out, Tim, that Nashawn Wright at 27 years old is a stud, and we haven't dove into it too deep. You guys go check out the PFF grades. I want everybody who's hearing my voice that's watching this back later as well. You go do your own research, come back to the comments and let us know which of these guys you like. I would rather, if Goody feels like this is the best corner in free agency, I would be okay with spending 12 or 15 million on a corner to feel like you buttoned that up and got it right. Although, Tim, we're a little nervous about the Nate Hobbs signing. We don't want another Nate Hobbs. I hope Nate Hobbs is back. I hope he plays great. But I think we all agree he didn't play to the level we expected, right?
And he didn't play a lot, and we heard Nate talk about that, when we did locker room clean out. He felt bad. He never got a chance to really show what he can do. If he played 17 games for us, we might have a different opinion on him. So I'm with you, Clay. I hope Nate Hobbs is back, and I hope we get a full year out of him. Put it that way, because I think he's a dog. I really do. But when I look at the rest of this list, yeah, you're right. Nashawn Wright out of Chicago. If you got an opportunity to maybe get him, maybe a little bit below on a sweetheart deal, if you believe he's your guy and you can steal someone from a division rival here, if you think he's going to be a field tilter, cool. But I don't think any of us really believe that a free agent corner signing is going to fix the cornerback room. I think we have to hit free agency, and we have to take a swing or two in the draft and see what we can do to build out that room, along with the guys that we already have in there. CV comes to mind, Nate Hobbs comes to mind. But other than that, Alontae Taylor, Cam Taylor Britt, those are names that pop out to me. I feel like there might be some value there. But at the end of the day, I don't think anyone's like alarmingly jumping off this list other than Trevon Diggs. And he's basically got one foot in the door here in Green Bay already. So, we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. And again, he wants to play with Micah, right?
Yep.
He's already got his kind of taste of Green Bay. Now, if another team comes and offers $5 million more than we're willing to offer, he's probably gone, right? He's going to obviously take the better deal, but yeah, it's a great point.
And you can look at Stokes too. We talked about Eric Stokes Jr., like, oh, do you think he would come back? Well, if the market doesn't look sweet for him and we can get him on a sweetheart deal, I wouldn't rule it out, Right.
Absolutely. Coach Lynn says, I like Wright, talking about Nashawn Wright from Chicago. He said, coached against him when he was at Laney JC in Oakland. So Laney Junior College in Oakland. So Coach Lynn actually had a little bit of experience coaching against him.
Nice.
So,
shout out to the Bay Area. Like it.
Coach Lynn giving us a little stamp of approval there. Hey, not a bad player. So we may dig a little deeper into that. United Bates says definitely in for Diggs at that price. I agree. That price is great, man. I think that's a great deal. And you could even guarantee a little bit more than other teams would and probably get that cap number down to about 5 or 6 million in the first couple of years. Really, I mean, you're paying backup money for a guy who's going to be a starting corner. I think that's a great way to approach that. Kyle Landretti asked in the chat, what do you think of Alontae Taylor? Just a quick little jump at a look at Alontae Taylor, Tim. In 2025, he was a 63.8. Again, PFF isn't everything, but we've already got Alontae Taylor at home, is what I would say, right? Like we got players that play around that level.
Sure.
And when you look at it, his passer rating when targeted, 108.7. So forget the PFF grade for a minute, 108.7. Not a great passer rating when targeted, right? He also played 566 snaps in the slot this year. So can he play outside? probably. The year before, he played 605 snaps outside, but not an ideal scenario. And when you break it down, Tim, he's been in the league for 4 years. His PFF grades, 54, 45, 45, 63. For me, it would definitely be to take our boy Trevon Diggs over Alontae Taylor.
I would agree with that. I still think Taylor's on the radar, but at 10 plus milli average annual, yeah, no, not at all. Not interested in that. There are 2 or 3 or 4 other names on this list I would rather be in that ballpark with.
Yep. And you're asking yourself, well, why were there trade rumors with Green Bay and the New Orleans Saints to potentially pick up Alontae Taylor for the Packers? He was a second-round pick 49. What it tells me is Goody probably had a second to third-round pick talent on him, grade on him. So that's typically how that works, right? So,
and like Chris the Casual was saying too, he did ball out against the Packers a couple years back. I remember that game. Hell of a performance, so worth noting.
Yep, definitely. And then we got Dylan Davis here in the chat says, I'd be fine with Diggs and get Stokes back under a new coordinator if the scheme works. Restructure Hobbs or kick him to the curb. So I don't hate that idea. I don't hate that game plan. I think it's a solid game plan there, Dylan. Like we said, though, will Stokes be willing to come back? As we say down here in the South, I don't chew my backer twice. You know what I'm saying? He may be like, I'm done. I don't want to go back to Green Bay.
Yeah, once I spit it out, I don't pick it up off the ground, put it back in.
Unless somebody says you want an extra $2 million guaranteed than the other team that's offering, then you go, where's that Levi Garrett at? Where's it at? So Levi Garrett sponsor the show. Okay. So, all right, there you go, guys. There is that's the face you make too when you accidentally swallow that juice and get sick. All right, so if you guys are watching this back later, let us know how you feel about those cornerback free agents. Is there 1 or 2 that really grabbed your attention we didn't talk about? Is there maybe someone that's lower on this list that we didn't get a chance to cover? Let us know in the comments how you feel about those guys. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, click the bell icon so you don't miss out on future content that's created here on the channel. We greatly appreciate y'all hanging out with us this evening.